And welcome to the AV Forums podcast, streaming live yet again on Wednesday, the 28th of July, end of the month. We'll discuss that in a sec. And joining me tonight, Tom Davis.
He's got brain damage, you psycho.
Steve Withers.
Remember to use a condom.
And Ed Selly.
Can't believe it. Bruce Willis is a ghost.
Welcome back. We are here for the next hour. I'll say that again. We're here for the next hour. Put your money on now, get your bets in. Join us live tonight on AV Forums' channel. Is quite a few people actually wait, so welcome along. Thank you very much for waiting for us going live. You can use the chat window tonight to ask us questions. We will choose whether we answer them or not, but you can ask us anything you like in the chat window. AV questions are preferable, but like I say, we might answer them. So chance your luck if you want. If you're not listening live or watching live on YouTube, then again, welcome along. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions for us, you can use the email, which is podcast@avforums.com. It's yet again a very warm evening tonight, so apologies if you can hear the fans going, but we're trying to keep ourselves cool. We are on better audio quality, hopefully, this week. So give us your feedback as well. If you think the stream looks a bit better, if the audio is a little bit better, and so on. We've got bigger pipes, so we're trying out some new settings tonight. So do let us know how things are going in the chat window if you're watching live, or if you're watching back a little bit later on or listening again. Let us know what you think about the quality. Right, so like I say, we're here for the next hour, but we do need to find out what people have been up to this week. So very quickly and swiftly, because Tom hasn't been on for a while. Well, not since the last movies podcast. So what have you been up to, Tom?
All sorts of things, really. I've related to my background that I've got at the moment, which for those of you who can't see is a screenshot of the LucasArts game, The Dig. I've been trying to get the Scum VM to work. If you've not heard of that before, the Scum engine is what all the 1990s LucasArts games were made on. So like Monkey Island and Full Throttle and Loom, exactly.
Oh,
yeah, the classics, and Loom less so, I think. But, yeah,
Loom was a great idea stretched into a very, very long game.
I think that's quite a fair assessment, to be honest. Whereas The Dig is an incredible idea crammed into a tiny game. But yeah, I've been revisiting some of my old favorites, and yeah, absolutely love the LucasArts games, and it's nice that there's still a way to play them if you fiddle around a bit on the internet. Yeah. Oh, and I've also recently rediscovered a playlist that I used to be obsessed with when I was I don't know, 19, 20, which is Blaylock's Indie Rock playlist. And it used to be where I picked up all my new stuff that was going on and found out about I rediscovered it this month and found out that it had been invaded by Chillwave. So I'm probably going to leave that where it is, because
there's always time for Chillwave.
No, there is not. I have very, very little time for Chillwave. But yeah, it's been good to feel like I've been putting my hand back in, even if it is stuff that I'm not really particularly bothered about at the moment.
Okay, cool, good stuff. Steve, what have you been up to?
Not much really, usual, to be honest. Watching films, watching a bit of telly, playing some VR, which I'll be talking about at length in a minute. Yeah, I've had a pretty chilled time, really. I'd like to say I was doing something really interesting, but the honest answer is I haven't been.
I admire your candor.
Okay.
I can just make something up next time. I was abseiling down the side of the building.
Just see any shit.
Yeah, I climbed Mount Everest. That was quite fun.
Chainsaw juggling. That's the one.
Yeah, it was all good. Yeah.
Good stuff. Ed, for those not watching tonight, there's a giant blue shoe behind Ed on his background. So what have you been up to?
Well, I have been.
Ed lives there, don't you?
Yes, I'm an old woman now, and I live in a shoe. No, I have been eyeing up pairs of trainers, 10, 11, and 12, if I'm honest. But the one behind me goes on sale at 11 p.m. this evening, so I have to be sober enough and alert enough to get an order in, because it's in relatively limited quantities. It is by Adidas, as you might expect, but as I'm obliged to point out that other brands of trainer are available if you're not me. I've been doing some work for both you guys and other people. I have also I had to buy some new front tires, which was excitingly expensive, but that's done.
How many miles did you get out of those?
7,240.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I'm not a careful human being driving that car. 2, I live in Milton Keynes, so nobody gets intergalactic mileages out of front tires.
Why
And
is that?
because of the
Roundabouts.
roundabouts.
Oh.
I mean, I know, Steve, that you would now point out that you don't physically go anywhere, so you do have a defense mechanism against this. But if you drive around Milton Keynes on a routine basis, you will wear out tires in relatively short order, even if you aren't driving like a head case, which I freely admit that I frequently do. So it is one of those things. I got a year out of them. And if I'm looking at it in a calendar basis, a pair of tires a year I can live with. So
That's not too different to what I'm getting at the moment, but that's just because I live in the middle of bumfluff nowhere, and all the roads around me are absolutely terrible.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
I get the last set I had on my last Mustang. I got 19,000 miles out of the rears.
Yeah, you never drove it.
No, I did drive it. Drove it a lot.
well, to be fair, that's admirable. And you are
Only in really nice weather, though. Didn't you?
You're clearly more dignified moving around the island. I mean, it's a heavy front wheel drive car with lots of with a relative.
You move the back tires to the front and put the new
No,
tires at the
because
back.
it's got tire pressure warning sensors, which will say that they're in the wrong place, and then the car won't start. Because that would just be too cheap and too easy, Steve.
Yeah, there you go.
It's really, really annoying. Otherwise, I've been planning through the review stuff for you guys. And I actually have to drive to an off-site press launch conference. I can't tell you who it is. It's actually embargoed. But I've got a press conference on Friday, the first off-site press conference I will have attended since early 2020.
Wow, are you going to be meeting people?
I'm going to meet other people.
Wow.
And yes, Tom, I am slightly concerned that I have completely forgotten how to operate in a public
Big
setting.
human decorum.
You're just going to be
Well, no,
flailing, or like, it's going to be terrible.
anyone that follows me on Twitter, essentially, during the very hot spell last week, essentially, I'd finished dropping my son off. I'd come back home and just immediately take my trousers off, because fundamentally, there was no need for me to have trousers on.
Definitely,
But I mean,
definitely do that at the press conference.
I'm dimly aware that I probably can't do that in a group setting.
No,
so,
it's probably best that you don't, especially if you're representing us. You're representing anybody else, then fair enough, you can do what you like.
the only Simon asked, how long do shoes last in Milton Keynes? Simon, if you have 9 pairs of them and you rotate them on a regular basis, they last a surprisingly long time.
About 19,000 miles.
Well,
I don't think I've ever-
talking about mileage, anyone want to guess how many miles I've now got on the 5.5 week old Mustang?
3,500.
Close.
Hmm.
3,079 miles in.
I mean, hats off to you. It cost me $1.34 a litre for.
I've spent 400 odd quid on fuel in that time. It's
You are mental.
it's been good though. So I've done lots of mileage because I've been doing lots of things with the car club, because obviously we've all been locked up for 18 months. So everybody's desperate to get out. So we're doing 2 events a weekend at the minute. So Saturday I went all the way down to Doncaster, well, just outside Doncaster, to an airfield. And there was 50 odd other Mustangs turned up for that meet. So that was a good Saturday morning. I then drove to Mansfield to pick up a spoiler that I'd had spray painted over there, and drove all the way back. So that was 260 miles anyway.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we went to Holy Island. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. I'm going to go and spend some time there because the visit was just too short. We were only there an hour, so we only just got to see a quick walk around the village, get some coffee, and then we were off again. So we did the whole of the Northumberland coast all the way down. It was fantastic. We ended up in Tynemouth to finish. So yeah, been doing lots of miles, lots of things with the car club. And
How many miles did you say you'd done?
3,079 miles since I picked the car up.
3,079 miles, and that's in 5 weeks.
Five and a bit weeks, yeah.
You've done 1,000 miles more than I've done in the last 10 months.
Yeah, absolutely, probably. But the thing is, it'll be off the. I am purchasing a second car. It's an absolute shit heap. diesel thing, but it's going to be my Tesco car and my winter car because I'm going to get the Mustang off the road. So I won't be putting miles on over the winter. So it should balance out, actually.
Will you actually sawn it in the winter?
I don't think I can in the first year. I'm not sure if I can in the first year because you pay it all up front. You see, I think it's about two and a bit grand up front for the first year on a new car. It's a lot of money. So I'm not sure if you can sawn it for the first year, but it will be going off-road somewhere for the winter. So yeah. So
just bury it. That seems to keep things fun.
Wrap it in oiled rags and stick it underground. Like we used to do with those was it Spitfire parts they found, didn't they? They've been buried since World War II, but it was still in mint condition because they'd been wrapped in.
Yeah, and there's talk of 25 buried somewhere in Burma, but that's just heading into urban legend territory now.
Yeah, somebody's asking if you are actually wearing trousers at the minute, Ed.
I am wearing trousers at the minute. I am dressed in a way that I could walk into a shop or pub and I would not be arrested.
But then up here, you could do that in your pajamas. I mean, I live opposite a school. The number of mums that turn up with their kids and they're wearing their pajamas.
Yeah,
maybe it's a northeast thing.
No, it's not. It's
that's
a phenomenon.
that's fine. I've been to the bus stop in my pajamas. That's legitimate. You know, getting a child out the door is no mean feat.
No, I too have experienced. I've never worn pajamas to school. I did in the very early days of my son starting school, absent-mindedly wear my "masturbating is not a crime" T-shirt because I just forgot what I was wearing. But that's about as far as it's gone. So
okay, moving on swiftly.
Good work, SE. You asked the first question of the night and you got this.
Yeah, well done. Keep the questions coming in. Competition time. Go ahead, Tom. Tell us what we can win.
No worries. We've got loads of 4K competitions going at the moment, including the really amazing limited edition Babadook box set in 4K from Second Sight, which has got loads of interesting stuff with it. Snatch and Almost Famous from Sony.
Two great films there.
Yeah, absolutely. Blu-ray box sets like Winona Earp, all seasons, I think are included in that. As usual, the Criterion set for July. And the next Criterion set competition is coming up this weekend. So keep your eye on the competition page for that. There's like 16 up at the moment and more to come. So just keep your eye on the page. All competitions are open to all eligible AVF members resident in the UK, except for Phil.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah, it is. We've got a bunch of people who've won stuff as well. So congratulations if your name is Anon. If that's you. You won the movie podcast exclusive Ghost in the Shell set on Blu-ray. That's really cool. Simon LDT won Eureka's PTU on Blu-ray. That's a great movie. Cool Neo won a copy of The Dark and the Wicked. Palip01 won the Only Fools and Horses Skeletric pack. I've forgotten that we were doing that. And Johnny K won the 66 Batmobile Skeletric pack.
Both of those are actually very covetable things. I was looking at them and going, if I had a little bit more space, I'd have one of those for life.
I did indeed enter those competitions. I could not resist. And finally, Chuffster 2005 won a copy of the 4K Collector's Edition box set of Basic Instinct, another cracking movie. And as usual, there'll be a podcast competition around about the end of the show, so stay tuned for that.
Excellent. Right, so I guess we better talk about some AV stuff, so we'll be back in a second with hardware.
If you'd like to support the AV Forums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AV Forums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AV Forums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
Before we get to hardware, some new patrons have joined us. So thank you very much for your support, Matt B and Stevie Drain. Thank you very much for becoming patrons. And don't forget, you've just had all the information there. If you want to support us on a regular basis, then it is appreciated if you do that. Right. Let's move on. Let's talk about some AV. Actually, let's talk about some hi-fi, first of all. New product from Rotel. So why don't you tell us all about it, Ed?
Yes, right. First of all, I need to make a slight apology. At the time that this is going out live, this review was written to a price cribbed to me in an early note for this product, which was said it was going to be $9.95. It has in fact climbed in price since that point when it's been released. But I would say with some confidence, it doesn't really change my findings. And I would argue, I'm also going to go on to say that since I've reviewed this product, it's stayed here because it's now going to be done for another publication. And do you know what? I'm going so far as to say that I think in some ways I was a little bit hard on this product. It's the Rotel A14 Mark II. It's an integrated amplifier. It's £1,200 or £1,195 if we're being pedantic. And as the name suggests, it's a rejigging of the original Rotel A14. Now, I apologize to Steve in advance, but there's a brief car analogy here. You know that there's all these news stories that Ford's stopping making the Mondeo because we're all buying little sport crossovers and all sorts of novelty fringe cars. But when it boils down to it, actually Ford Mondeos are really, really good at everything that they do. This amplifier is, in some ways, it's a Ford Mondeo because, yes, I'll be honest with you, it is far from the most exciting looking product I've tested this year, but it is extraordinarily competent. It's a Rotel integrated, which means unlike a number of companies, even quite large companies these days, Rotel makes an enormous amount of the product themselves. So they wind their own transformers. They still have their own board production facilities and so on and so forth. They do an awful lot of the handiwork for this product in-house. And in some ways, they've never really stopped doing certain things which seem a bit passé, but are actually quite useful when you think about it. It's got independently switched A and B speaker output. So if you simply want to bolt another pair of speakers on it and send it to another room, you can. It's got tone controls with a plus minus 10 dB increment, which again, you know, it's all very well saying, oh, for sonic purity, you just need to bypass it and not have anything in the circuit. Yeah, but if you actually have too much bass in a room, it's quite nice to be able to sort it out. It's got all of those features, and then it adds to that with a really quite well sorted digital board. So you get a couple of optical, a couple of coax, and a USB input. So all you need to do is just bolt streaming hardware onto it. There is an Ethernet port on the back, but that is not for network streaming. That allows it to be controlled over Ethernet. Which works extremely well, as you might expect. It's a Rotel. You can also connect a turntable to it directly because it has a moving magnet phono stage. And it sounds a bit odd to say that, oh, it's a piece of hi-fi that you buy with your head rather than your heart. There are more exciting products. There are more visually arresting. There's more technologically fascinating. There's more out there designs for this sort of money. But what this product is it's just extraordinarily competent at everything I asked it to do and more. I did a lot of the listening with it connected to the Focal Cantor loudspeakers. They're $4,500. I mean, they're not tricky to drive, but they'll show up everything that's wrong. And by and large, it was a very happy combination. For viewers, that Stuart has just brought up the photo of the remote, which is glorious. It's got 50 buttons on it. It's a proper old school giant brick of infrared goodness. And in some ways, it does feel a bit nostalgic to use, I suppose, a bit like buying a brand new Ford Mondeo, but it doesn't shake the fact that I've really quite enjoyed using this amplifier. I'm shallow enough to admit that I don't know, I'd probably be distracted by some of the other amplifiers I've looked at in this price point because they're a bit more arresting. I mean, Musical Fidelity made the M2, it makes the M2 SI, which is a bit cheaper, but it's got no functionality beyond being an amplifier. There's the Cyrus One, which I think is a great piece of industrial design, and it's got some natty features, but I couldn't honestly tell you it sounds better than the Rotel does, and it's certainly not better made. So this possibly isn't the product that you dream about, but if you are actually spending a significant sum of your own money, it's one that you really, really need to consider because it is genuinely excellent at all the things you ask it to do. The only criticism I would make Rotel is it needs to look more exciting, and really, whilst I admire retro thinking in terms of remotes and A/B speaker switching, the display is horrible and needs to be changed.
Okay. Well, the review went up today, so if you want to find out a bit more about the Rotel, then head over and read Ed's in-depth review on that. Like I say, it's on the homepage now. It'll still be there for most of this week. So if you are listening a little bit later on in the week, you can still head over and read the review. And of course, if it's not on the homepage, just click on the reviews tab at the top of the forums and click on Hi-Fi Reviews, and you'll be able to find it
Not
there.
just that, I want to sing the praises of the AV Forum search function, because for many years we mocked the AV Forum search function because it was a potluck system. If you type in Rotel, it will bring up the most recent things, and because it divides it into forum topics and editorial, it will be there. Rotel A14 Mark II will be there as a search topic. I tried it this afternoon, worked a charm.
And Stuart's just demonstrated that live.
Yeah,
and thank God it worked.
Well, yes, I know. It is, and then
we didn't have a Tomorrow's World moment there.
No, this is absolutely true. But no,
Or a CES demo.
Yeah.
No,
Live
for many years, the search function was the source of gentle ridicule because it was largely random, but it's now really good.
It's because it had to work on two separate platforms. It had the CMS, which is the editorial side, and then it had the forum software, and getting those to talk to each other has been a lot of hard work. But yes, it's now working the way it should work.
So yeah,
absolutely. So there we go. You can find that easily, as we just demonstrated on the video. Right. Let's move on. Let's talk about something that Steve doesn't normally review, because Steve's normally looking at
huge processors or computers in elaborate boxes,
or just soundbars
or soundbars.
It's feast or famine for Steve.
Praise the Lord! It's not a sodding soundbar.
No, I've got.
Oh, you say that, Phil, but I have actually previously reviewed the
yes. Well, I was just going to
Oculus.
Yes, I was just going to say, you have some history with VR. If anybody wants to watch a very funny video of Steve reacting to a T-Rex coming into the room, which he filmed. There is an old, I must be about 5-year-old now, Steve, or 6-year-old.
Goes back a while.
Yeah, but there is a video of Steve cowering as a T-Rex came into the room, because you've been into this VR stuff for quite a while.
I have. Well, I mean, my first taste of it was the PSVR. I was, kind of ambivalent until I had a go on a friend's, and literally that night bought one, because it was. People talk about immersive gaming, but when you're actually in the game, that's immersive gaming. And a good example of how different that can be is definitely when I was playing. And I never finished it, but I was trying to play Resident Evil, and it was just terrifying.
Yeah,
to eventually stop, because I couldn't. I was just so scary, because you're in that world and you completely forget you're in your lounge or your bedroom or wherever you happen to be at the time. You are in that world, and so I love it. But and I reviewed the Oculus, the original Oculus, which obviously required a fairly high spec PC in order to run it, and then I reviewed and own the PSVR, which works with the PS4. So again, in order to actually use it, you need to have a console. And although I love VR gaming, I didn't do it very often, primarily because I couldn't be asked to get the thing out and plug all the cables in and set it all up. It took forever, and then have a bit of a game, and I was always worried about the cat chewing on the cables or something like that, and then so I didn't want to leave them out, and I'd have to box it all back up again when I'd finished, and so I ended up hardly ever VR gaming, primarily out of laziness. I just couldn't be bothered to get all the equipment out. So once I heard about the Oculus Quest, which is wireless and doesn't require a PC or a console because everything is built into the headset, I thought, hang on, this could be the one for me. So I think it was another friend who had one and said, you should get this if you don't like all the wires. And he's dead right. It's so this is the Oculus Quest 2, which is I think it came out towards the end of last year. I think it was so it's not brand new, but it's fairly recent, and it's replaced obviously the Oculus Quest. It's actually higher spec and better than the Oculus Quest, but actually cheaper, which I don't think happens very often in life. Now, I should caveat that by saying that Oculus is now owned by Facebook. So in order to, for example, set up the Quest, you have to have a Facebook account. You've got to log into your Facebook account first, which might put some people off. It's clear, the reason it's dirt cheap. And when I say dirt cheap, I mean you can buy the 64 gigabyte version for 299 quid.
I think that's always been the case, hasn't it, Steve? That it's been a Facebook. It's always been a Facebook enterprise
Well, not
You've always-
originally. Oculus wasn't Facebook right at the very beginning. And they bought it, but
The
yeah.
first Quest, I think, I'm pretty sure you had to.
Yeah, that was the Facebook. Yeah, Quest
Yeah.
was, but I mean, the original Oculus PC
Mhm.
headset was obviously developed by Oculus, and then Facebook bought it, and the Quest came along, and yeah, clearly they're going to mine your data for all it's worth. But to be perfectly honest, at 299 quid for a 64 gigabyte version, I don't care. That's just ridiculously cheap. I mean, you can get the 256 gigabyte version for £399 if you want more storage. And when you get the box, everything's in there. So when I say it's wireless, I mean it. You get a headset, two wireless controllers, and then there's a USB cable and a plug for charging it. That's it. And there's also an adapter if you want to wear them with glasses. And you set it up. You can use, there's an Oculus app. And also you can use that to set up the headset, and then you can do it, as I said, through your Facebook account. Once you've done that, that's it. Basically, you can buy games just wearing the headset. Once you put the headset on, it's all there right in front of you. If you look at my background, that's one of the options for basically the lounge area where you first arrive when you turn on the headset. And then there's a big display floating in front of you, and then you use the controllers to select what you want to do. Now the headset itself, so it's not only it's spec wise, it uses the Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 platform. It's got 6 gigabytes of RAM in it, and uses a fast switch LCD panel with a resolution of 1832 by 1920, which is way more than my PSVR. It's really obvious. That's per an eye, should I say? There's way more resolution than on my PSVR. It's really obvious as soon as you start wearing it, and it can do refresh rates of 60, 72, and 90 hertz. So specs wise, it's pretty good. I mean, I know there's a new HTC 5 that's like 5K or something like that, but I mean, again, you need a really high spec PC to run that. So for what you're getting, and the simplicity and ease with which it is, that requires using it, it's superb. You can adjust interocular by just moving the two lenses. There's 3 different settings. There's a strap you put over your head. It's pretty comfortable. There are there are accessories you can buy. You can buy a better head strap that is better at holding your head, holding the headset in place. And there's also a version that comes with an additional battery to extend the life, because obviously you charge it up. You get about 2 to 3 hours, easily 2 to 3 hours of gaming on this headset. I've never had a problem with the battery going low while I've been playing with it, so that's great. You just use simple normal AA batteries in each of the 2 controllers. There are headphones built in, and you can connect to headphone, but there are actually headphones built into the sides of the straps, and they work really well, and they create a really good 3-dimensional soundstage. And there are cameras at the top and bottom, 4 cameras, and they are what track you. So they track your hands, they track the controllers, and you can set, when you first put it on, you can set a safe area, because there's a lot of movement. These are fairly active games. It's not a sedentary experience. You can do it playing sat down, but I mean, frankly, it's not much fun. You might as well move around, but you want to set a safe area so don't go crashing into the TV or falling down the stairs. So it's quite cool when you do first set up the safe area, because you can literally see, the cameras show you your view. So you can walk around the house. It's in black and white, but you can literally walk around and see perfectly what's going on, even though you're wearing a headset, which is quite a cool, fun thing to do.
So what sort of games are we talking about?
Right. Well, there's a whole, I mean, the thing about the Oculus that immediately struck me is that not only has it got a high resolution and is a higher spec than the PSVR, it's designed as a VR headset from the ground up. That's what it's designed for. Whereas the PSVR, that is great for what it does, but they clearly had to repurpose a lot of kit, like the Move controllers and that kind of thing were repurposed from existing stuff, the PS camera, that kind of stuff. So they've got it to work by repurposing. This is designed from the ground up. So the controllers, for example, have things for holding and things for pulling triggers, that kind of stuff. And a lot of the games, they're really designed, to give you a full-on, they're VR games from the start. And so there's a whole bunch. There's one called Beat Saber, where basically you're dancing along to music, and you got what effectively are lightsabers in each hand, and you're just smashing stuff as it comes towards you. Brilliant fun. You can do that for hours. Great workout, really good fun. It's so addictive. There's a whole bunch of Star Wars games, which I've been playing Vader Immortal, 3-part. They're quite cheap, like £8 for each game. I mean, they're not long games. You can play them in less than an hour. But you're in Star Wars, and who doesn't want to be in Star Wars? And you've got a lightsaber, and you're using the Force. And
there's a new one of those coming out too, I believe, part 2.
Well, is that?
I think so. The second Vader, yeah.
Oh, excellent! Because the first one was great. I've just got.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet, but I've just bought. Is it Tales from Galaxy's Edge? I think they call it.
Okay, from the theme park tie-in.
which is the theme park tie-in, yeah. And I've got one called Zero Caliber, which is a first-person shooter. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of games. I think there weren't that many at launch of the Quest, but there's a lot more now, and some of them are really good fun. And also you can do loads of other stuff too, like you can watch 360-degree videos. And there's one where a guy's doing, he's attaching a camera to a wingsuit guy, and that's just if Phil would shit himself. The video starts off, and you're sat in a helicopter, you're looking out the window, and you're looking around and down, and you're just in midair. And then
I'd be fine with that.
No, you wouldn't.
It's when you jump out.
Yeah. Once he jumps out, it would not be so fine. There's loads of great videos like that you can just watch. It's all free.
So the only Simon was saying that he used the other Quest for watching movies, but he says since the Quest 2's moved away from OLED, it doesn't do that.
Well, I was going to come to this. There is one thing that's not great about this, the black levels, because it's using an LCD panel and not OLEDs. So yeah, that noticeably compared to, let's say, the PSVR, which does use OLEDs, that it is noticeably the black levels.
Somebody's
are
got
not
to give it the price.
It's 299 quid. And I've got to say, the increased resolution for me makes a massive difference, because there's virtually no real screen door effect. I mean, you can kind of just see the pixels, but
that's awesome. That's what that was going to be my question, because although the PSVR's got the beautiful OLED display, it does have screen door effect, which can
absolutely,
be a little bit
which you
distracting.
don't get on the Quest.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun. I will say one thing, and this is. I've been using it quite a lot, and I started to get a rash across the bridge of my nose. I thought, what's causing that? Because my glasses, as you can see, don't actually touch my nose. There's things on the other side. So the bridge, I thought, why? And then I got an email from Oculus yesterday. Apparently, they've had people saying that they're an allergic reaction to the foam, face part of the headset that you put your face into. So they said, do you want a silicone replacement? So I said, yes, please, because I think I might be one of those people that's reacting to the foam.
I think you're allergic to everything, you, Steve.
Yeah, I do have a lot of allergies. No, I haven't tried Half-Life Alyx, Phazon. I'm still working my way through various games. But if people got any recommendations, please just send them my way, and I'll check them out. But I'm loving it. It's really good fun. Headset, and like I said, for me the big difference is I just put it on, turn it on, and I'm off.
Have you and I'm going to lower the tone here, have you, in the spirit of experimentation, watched any of the VR calibrated Scrot available on various online providers?
No, I have not.
But you're now aware of it, and you'll be off right later on.
I'll have a look now. It's a fun piece of kit, and like I say, it's so cheap. It's like you'd be rude not to buy one, really, in my opinion.
Well, I'd need to stop buying trainers, but I take your point.
But Tom, any more questions? Because I know you have some interest.
I am, but no, it sounds like you say, for the price point, just insane, because that's what you were paying for just the PSVR kit without the console.
I think when I first bought my PSVR, I was paying a lot more than that. Once you added in everything else you had to buy on top of the actual headset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because also the Move controllers and the camera.
I know
they started packaging them together.
Yeah,
but it did add up. So the simplicity is great. The price is obviously amazing. The performance is superb. It's hard to fault, really. I mean, like I said, aside from the black levels. And unfortunately, saying that Invader Immortal, it takes place on Mustafar, so it's quite dark, so that you are more aware of the sort of lacking back levels. But that's literally the only thing I can really fault it on. Otherwise, it's an absolutely stonking performer, and the higher refresh rate too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say what they need to focus on now is better,
some real killer games.
Yeah. And better cross-platform compatibility with things like the Vive and the PSVR. It's narrow at the moment, I would say.
One thing you can do if you've got a high-spec PC is you can stream games, VR games from the PC to the headset, which apparently works really well. I don't have that option, so I can't comment on it personally, but apparently it does work really well. So that's quite a cool feature if you're already into PC gaming anyway. So, I mean, there's to be honest, I can think of no real downs other than having a data mined by Facebook, but they're doing it anyway. So I can't really think of too many downsides to this. It's a cracking piece of kit. I love it.
All right, okay, and the review for that will be up probably over the weekend.
Is there another hilarious video of Steve cowering from something in this
No,
video?
isn't there?
Unfortunately, not on this occasion.
I've humiliated myself enough.
Well, there was, I think it was the first year, or it was the year that Stuart came out with us to CES, and that was a big year for VR kicking off. And if you remember, there was shots of that Stuart taking off some of the stands and people with the headsets on. And do you remember the guy? He was flailing all over the shop. And they did a few things where they had floors that were moving.
Oh, God.
So you were on bungee cords and the floor moved and so on. So
That was and treadmills, so you could walk around.
Yeah, the treadmills, yeah. None of that really sort of caught on, but it's good to see that VR is still around and wasn't like 3D and forgotten about after.
I can say that having stood next to Darth Vader in the VR world, he's a big lad.
Right, that's it for hardware. We're going to move swiftly on because it's the end of the month. We're going to do the best ofs for software, and that's coming next.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcasts forum at AV Forums.
Right, so like I say, end of the month, we're going to move on to software. And first of all, Ed needs to do his album playlist and vinyl of the month. So Ed, I always enjoy this segment of the podcast because I learn new things and I go away and experiment with new music.
Although you've experimented with this one and you have some reservations. I don't blame you. The album of the week is the DGs with Hail Satin. Now, the DGs might be better known as the Foo Fighters, who have decided, for reasons best known to themselves, to bundle a selection of covers of Bee Gees songs and some sort of studio recorded versions of some tracks from their latest albums into this off-the-cuff release. Can I make a confession that the Foo Fighters have released many albums and I actually like less than half of them?
No, I think you would be hard pushed to find a Foo Fighters band who liked more than half.
Right, well, there we go. That's good. I admire them most when they're experimenting and doing something slightly different. So I enjoyed the In Your Honor double from a number of years ago and so on and so forth. And I like it when they're just being a little off the cuff, and I've enjoyed listening to this. It doesn't break any new ground, in part because the songs are getting on for 50 years old, but I've enjoyed listening to it. It's fun. It's done with just the right level of professionalism meeting tongue-in-cheek. I won't be rushing out to buy it on vinyl, but I am glad that it exists on all major streaming services, including in high res on a number of them, if that blows your frock up. And I've otherwise, I didn't think it was a vintage week for music. Someone, and Phil will send this to me later on, someone mentioned something in the comments which I may or may not have missed. I generally try and get through everything I possibly can on the Friday of New Music Day, but I don't get through everything. So I felt that this is worthy of comment because it is fundamentally good-natured and it is fundamentally good fun.
I listened to it twice, so I didn't just listen to once and then not go back. For me, the Bee Gees covers, they were all right, but I liked the other tracks better. When they were being the Foo Fighters, I liked them better. It's not a bad album at all. It's a good listen. Like I say, I listened twice. It's just I preferred the non-covered stuff.
I just got it. I've only just got it. The DGs. Dave Grohl, I just got it. Oh my God.
It must be said that if you're into band branded clothing, there is an exciting line of DG's branded stuff on the Foo Fighters website, if you like that, including one that does have Hail Satin written in big rainbow letters across the back, which in its own way is quite cool. So that's album of the week. Vinyl of the week. Now, I've picked out one record, but HMV the periodically maligned UK retailer, is celebrating their 100th anniversary, and God knows that's in its own way quite a remarkable achievement. To celebrate, they have done a number of 100th anniversary vinyl repressings. Now, a number of these sold instantly and are busy being sold for grotesque markups on eBay, because I'm afraid that's how it works. And if you're a 4K Blu-ray fan, you've got this all to look forward to. One of the ones that's still there is ironically one of the ones I ordered. If you are a fan of the original Mad Max, and it is one of my all-time favorite films, the Brian May score, and that is not Brian May of Queen, I need to be very clear about this, is been lovingly rejigged, rejiggled, and placed on blood red vinyl. And it's got proper spunky 1977 artwork to go with it. And yeah, it's fundamentally I just enjoyed it. As I say, it's a film I adore, and it's just nostalgic playing about with the soundtrack in this format. I've not had it on vinyl, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. There are a number of other albums that they've done the 100th anniversary treatment to. As I say, some of them sold out very, very quickly. There are still some interesting things for sale. I'd also go on to say that there have been times when HMV has infuriated me, but it is a brick and mortar retail outlet that is still determinedly trying to shift physical media, and that should be commended in its own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do feel like supporting them, have a look through these 100th anniversary releases and see if there is something there that that excites you, because it's not just weird soundtracks. There's all manner of different things. As I say, some of the things have sold out, many of them haven't. Have a look through and see what you like. Now, this would normally be where I do playlist of the month. Some people have commented that my playlist hunting is a little bit half-hearted. It's not. I do plow through all the ones I have streaming service subscription to. Fundamentally curated content on streaming services, because they're all hemorrhaging money like bad space programs. It's just not a particularly big thing. I mean, Qobuz and Deezer are trying, and we've covered the fact that Tidal's now doing curated playlists. I would like to flag up, therefore, a complete phenomenon that had passed me by, and here it is. It's appeared on the video for viewers. There is a whole world of weird Spotify playlists where people use the enormous music library of Spotify to either tell a musical story, or on a more simple basis, simply line up track titles to make something amusing happen. Some of them are predictable. Some of them are genuinely brilliant. You can follow this phenomenon for yourself on Twitter as Weird Spotify. It has a subreddit. It periodically gets features lists and things on other websites. And if you just slam random search terms into Spotify, you'll get access to playlists that fundamentally shouldn't be. I mean, sea shanties you can totally have sex to. That's a quote. that's a genuine playlist that
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's sea shanty. God's sake, man!
I'm glad that's the bit that you picked up on, Steve.
Oh, listen, I've got a friend who's into pirate metal, and they all sing she sells. Sea shanty. Bloody hell, that's
shanty, Steve.
Bloody hell, that's hard to say. And they they row along to songs and all sorts of stuff. It's
so suffice to say that there is a whole world of peculiar playlists out there. And do you know what? I'm going to throw this open to the floor. If you are a streaming service user and you're aware of a private, an actual individual streaming service subscriber generating top quality content, do make it known in the thread, and we'd love to publicize it. I mean, one of the most well received playlists I ever publicized on the podcast was done by a used hi-fi dealer in North London. The Audio Gold Ever Expanding playlist is a thing of absolute wonder. So if you are aware of something as good as that, please just make it known, and we'll publicize it in our own little way, because at the moment streaming services are engaged in a fight to the death, and they just don't really have the resources to do much curated content themselves.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That's album playlist and vinyl of the month. And before we move on to movies, you may have noticed tonight that the quality is a little bit better on the podcast. If it is,
Well, not the
let us
quality of
know.
the podcast.
No.
itself, just
No, the quality,
the stream.
the technical quality. I should
Never mind the
preface that.
content,
Yeah,
feel the picture.
yeah. So
That's how you
hopefully-
buy all your films, isn't it, Steve?
yeah. Pretty much sums up my film collection.
yeah. Great film, great picture and sound. Right. So hopefully the sound should be better. Hopefully the picture should be better. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. And that's not the only tweaking that we are doing to the podcast, because we are going to introduce 2 movies podcasts starting in August. So the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of every month will be the movies podcast hosted by Tom, with the movies team and special guests, because I know myself and Steve will be popping in now and again to talk movies as well.
They'll let
way
me
you
in to
made
play. I'm not sure they will.
Abundantly clear that I'm going nowhere near it. I suppose I'd actually have to watch a film first.
Yeah,
wouldn't I?
that's the problem.
That'll definitely help.
Yeah, it would help. So yes, we're going to kick this in August. So that means that next Wednesday's podcast is the first movies podcast of the month. And like I say, the second one will be I think it's the 15th. No, it's the 18th. Is it 18th?
I'll tell you what, as and when they do
18th.
this, as and when the Dune and the Ghostbusters one happen, I will be watching those. So
Yeah.
who knows? I can make a nuisance of myself on those.
Well,
Okay.
I'm sure we will be talking about those
I
specifically.
definitely have to be on
a
the
lot.
Dune one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will be one where I imagine I will probably let somebody else get a word in edgeways, but we'll see. We are thinking of moving a little bit away from what we've been doing in the past in terms of focusing on a single film, and we'll be looking at releases in general. We'll be talking about a wider range of things, and that way, if you are one of the many people who, by the time the podcast comes out, hasn't seen the latest release, you'll have nothing to fear, because we will not be even treading anywhere near spoiler territory. So all the more
I mean,
reason to tune in.
It's,
that sounds very
it's a
good.
good sign. It's a good sign of life getting back to some normality, because films are now starting to appear and we're starting to get excited about the cinema again and so on. So I think it's the right time.
I have to
to
admit
double
that
up on the
second
podcast.
Ghostbusters trailer. I mean, it
Yes,
annoys me.
I'm
It
sold.
annoys me that it got to me, but it got
Yeah.
to me.
Sold already. I will be going to see that, I think. Right. So movies podcast starts next week, and then it's the first and third Wednesday of every month going forward. So look out for that. So let's talk best of the month, because it is the end of July. July's been a quick month. It really has. So let's get into it, Tom. Let's talk about film 4K or Blu-ray of the month, or all three.
Well, the film of the month will be going right back to the beginning of the month. There can't be any choice except for Another Round. It was a really amazing piece of very moving filmmaking, which is a rare thing, I think. This is a film about a group of teachers, one of which is played by Mads Mikkelsen. They discuss the philosophy that having a blood alcohol level of 0.05% is the optimum amount of drunk to be in order to experience life to the full. And so they put that to the test by being a little bit drunk all the time. And it sounds quite funny, and it is quite funny. But you take it to its logical conclusion, and things like alcoholism start to creep in. And so you get a film that's sort of in 2 parts. You get a first half of a film which is full of the joys of life and full of all of the good elements of being a little bit pissed. But as the film continues, obviously that sort of tails off into more complicated consequences, let's say.
Of being a little bit pissed.
Exactly.
He says
All the
pouring
time.
an enormous beer.
Yeah.
Can I be really crude for a moment and say, when I read your review, which was excellent, the thing it reminded me of, did you ever see the Mitchell and Webb sketch with the inebriati?
Yes.
The people who have consumed slightly under 2 drinks and can therefore rule the world.
That's it. That's the whole philosophy of the film. Yeah, absolutely. I can't recommend it strongly enough. It doesn't.
And where can we watch this, Tom? If we're interested, is it
It
streaming?
was on at the cinema at the beginning of the month, but it is heading to streaming, I believe, after the summer. I don't think until September.
Right.
Oh, it's not that far away.
Not that far away. But I have noticed that there are some smaller venues, picture houses and such, who are still showing it, once a week or whatever on a themed night.
I
or
do
what have
enjoy Mads Mikkelsen. He
He
seems
is-
to crunch his way through stuff.
Absolutely. He is really what is the word that I'm looking for? Like, it feels like he can stare into your soul, basically. And
Yeah.
everyone in it does a great job of just exploring every element of why being drunk is great and why it's terrible. And
Well, I'm
super
only going to
recommend
watch half of that, to be fair.
it. yeah.
I
And
thought it was autobiographical, is it not?
it has the
Oh,
weirdest, most
Yeah.
triumphant scene at the end as well, where Mads Mikkelsen shows off how incredibly talented a dancer he is. So you should watch it all the way through to
Are
the
we
end,
talking
because
like Christopher Walken in Weapon of Choice good?
we're talking like yes and better. Like
Oh,
he
God.
he is a true, I think it's jazz ballet, and it is incredible. I can't even explain like how incredible it is.
I
He-
might have to find if this is leaked onto YouTube.
I'm
somewhere.
sure the dance has leaked onto YouTube because it is just crazy. So yeah, that's definitely the film of the month.
Okay.
But I can't get to the end of the segment without giving dishonorable mention to Horizon Line, which one of the most enjoyable films I've seen this month for sure.
For
I
different reasons.
I think I gave it, I can't remember if I gave it a 2 or a 3, but I definitely gave it an unmissable badge. Just
Yes,
ever so gently.
we did have to remove the badge because it did misrepresent what the badge actually means. But
Just
we got the gist of it.
a
we need-
gentle trolling of,
We,
the,
need,
of
we
the-
need a new badge, don't we? AV Forum's car crash.
I have to say that I mean it's Amazon appear to be trying to give Netflix a run for their money in the really shit films that they're buying in. So Horizon Line and Jolt, I mean, I can't believe Kaz bothered to review it. I mean, I just read the synopsis and thought, yeah, that's going to be utter
Well,
crap.
saying that, it's created a hell of a lot of discussion and traffic coming. So, obviously people have their opinions on it.
right.
Well, we'll come back to that in a second. Personally, my film of the month was definitely, I mean, it's not a Cobblers, but it was strangely enjoyable Cobblers, was The Tomorrow War.
That was super fun. You're right. That was super fun.
And it looked and sounded amazing, which obviously meets my main criteria.
Which is the Withers criteria right there, yeah. So fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I have to say, Tom, once again, there's a cruel irony that you just, in written terms, you absolutely fly when you are embroiled in a world of hate.
Well, I mean, Ed, you're a reviewer. You've been a reviewer for quite a number of years, the same as myself and Steve and Tom. There's nothing worse than anything that's middle of the road.
This is true.
You either want
Which is most
something
products these
that's
days.
brilliant, or you want something that's so bad that you can actually go off on one. And because we don't review products that are so bad, because products are at a certain level anyway, nowadays, people don't necessarily make bad stuff anymore. But when it comes to films, I envy the movies team sometimes because there's so much shit out there.
I don't fully enjoy. I don't feel that my best work is done when administering a shoeing. It's not. Whereas I have to be honest, Mr. Davies, when the boot comes out, you are. I mean, that and that ridiculous Sky movie that you loathed that on a molecular level, and it was. I mean, as I say, I felt your pain in the fact that you wasted your life having to watch it, but my God, what you wrote was magnificent. So you are trapped in a world.
I didn't just waste my life, I also wasted the life of my wife. So that was good as well.
You do know now that Kaz is just going to pick you for all the shit stuff now. You do know that your life is just
Hang on
gonna
a
be
second,
shit
you
movies.
volunteered for Horizon Line, though, didn't you?
I absolutely did volunteer for Horizon.
I think it was somebody on the forums actually recommended
They
it.
Yeah, they
requested.
recommended you to.
We're doing requests now, apparently.
Yeah.
There's only one man
Slip
for
out the
this
shit
job.
film from 10 paces.
Yeah.
Could someone on the movie teams please review Guns Akimbo? Because I'm tempted to watch it, but I'm waiting to see what somebody else thinks of it first.
I'd quite like to see this. This is the Daniel Radcliffe movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it looks like it might be quite interesting. interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like it might be goofy.
And Daniel Radcliffe's so rich, he doesn't need to do anything unless he really wants to do it.
I thoroughly enjoyed Daniel Radcliffe's absolutely not giving a single tiny shit phase of post Harry Potter filmography. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Horns. I mean, that was
too. Horns is great.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
Or when he played a dead body.
What was that? Yeah,
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man.
That's a good one.
That's someone who doesn't give a monkeys. So, yeah, whatever.
So yes, that's all good.
So I attempted to keep the podcast within the hour that we
Oh,
set
yeah.
ourselves at the start.
Got close.
4K release of the month. What are we going for here? I think Steve will have his opinions, but anything that you're going to throw forward there, Tom? Have you seen anything?
I haven't. I have it on good authority that the 4K True Romance release is incredible.
Yeah, Kaz
I have
covered that one.
not had the opportunity to watch it yet, but Kaz assures me that it is.
I'm sure
amazing.
Steve's seen it. Steve?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's fantastic.
There you go.
It is
Go and buy it.
Let's call it that.
I was slightly worried because I know that obviously there's a theatrical cut and then there's director's cut. And director's cut is a bit more, well, more than a bit more violent. But I'm pretty sure I know that they used the camera negative for the theatrical cut, and then for the extra scenes in the director's cut, they were using the interpositive. So I was concerned there might be a visible drop in picture quality, but there isn't actually. It looks great all the way through. So I mean, partly because and don't go into it expecting it to look like a modern digital production, because this is Tony Scott. A lot of smoke, a lot of film grain. It looked gorgeous, but it looks like a Tony Scott movie through and through. And so you need to bear that in mind.
God rest his soul.
But yeah, and it's there's 4 commentary tracks, all of which are entertaining. There's scene-specific commentary tracks, plus 2 new, 4 of which were already on previous releases. Plus there's 2 new ones. One from Bronson Pinchot, who's really funny when he does an impression of Tony Scott, which basically just uses saying the word "fuck" a lot. And then there's some new interviews with various people that were involved in the production. And plus all the original extras that were on previous releases. It's a really good release.
So is it worth it? It's worth spending the money for the special edition, and Steve?
Well, I mean, you say it's $29.99, so I mean, it's not like you're paying through the.
Oh,
it's the same price as, I think that it's not the special edition. It's just the only edition, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, there isn't another choice. You either buy it, you don't.
That or don't get it at all.
Do they not normally do this, or they put this version out and then they'll put a bare bones disc out a bit later?
They might do that later, yes, but you've got the disc in the box, so you can either. I mean, for how much is it going to be? 25 quid. So for the extra $5.
Yeah.
I am astonished and in my own way quite smug at how effectively film and film media companies have looked at the vinyl model and gone, yep.
No, Ed, you say that.
Yeah.
Laserdisc was well ahead of that.
Yeah,
way ahead of that.
It's although essentially I think the difference is the quantities, because it's not that there's fewer 4K players than there are Laserdisc players. That would be ridiculous. It's just they do seem to be judging the quantities for certain things quite cannily. Essentially, the dead stock doesn't seem to be an issue with certain things. It blasts through and it's done. They seem to be judging how many of something they're making quite effectively.
Yeah, if you want these sets, you got to be pretty quick to get in there.
It's been a good month, actually. I mean, well, it's been a good year, and last year too. I mean, but this month in particular, we've had Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which
got that
great disc. Snatch. I'd forgotten how funny that film is. I hadn't seen it in a while. I was laughing my head off. Looper, another good release. Almost Famous is fantastic.
Yeah, the Babadook as well, incredible.
And Babadook, yeah. Field of Dreams, which I got from the States about 3 years ago, so I think it's a bit late coming to this country.
Well, I got it. Yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's the same disc, isn't it? It came out ages ago. I was thinking, why are you reviewing that? I've had that about 3 years. And also, this is something that was a US release only. It was Blue Underground, who are absolutely killing it at the moment in terms of their disc releases. But Dead and Buried, which is a horror film from the early 80s written by Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett, Alien, with effects by Stan Winston, and some of them are pretty good. That's just come out on 4K disc, and they used an interpositive for this. Still looks pretty good, but it's not as amazing as their Final Countdown disc, which looks incredible.
They did the Final Countdown. No way, that's amazing.
Were you not watching last week where I when eulogize, not right, it was rhapsodic about the Final Countdown. It's they use the camera negative It looks like it was shot yesterday. It's one of the best looking sounding discs I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I love the film. So-
Super tempting. There's a great movie.
Oh no, you've got to get it. You've got to get it. It's a cracking set. It's a cracking set.
I think the two I'll be picking up, and I haven't picked up a disc for a while because basically it's a summer.
Have you been buying super unleaded?
I've been buying the super unleaded. I think I'll get True Romance and Almost Famous. I love Almost Famous. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, you want to get there. It's got both versions of the film,
Right.
and it looks and sounds great.
Yeah,
I did spend
And
£46
a ton
on
of
a record,
extras.
but it wasn't a new one, so I'm afraid that's my purchase for the month.
right. So quickly, just wrapping up TV shows that we've been watching and recommending for the end of the month. Ed, what have you been watching and that you would recommend?
Not a lot, in truth. I have been reducing my screen time actually down from not a lot to almost none because I've been trying to sleep better. So I've been reading a lot. I did finish and enjoy Clarkson's Farm. I'm pleased that it's been given a second outing. It's not about Jeremy Clarkson. It's a eulogy to the British countryside with Jeremy Clarkson periodically passing through it. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And my son sat me through, I don't even know if it's new for this month, Phil, but he sat me through the latest Netflix Godzilla animation. And
It's
do you know what?
terrible. I love Godzilla, and the anime is terrible. Are we talking about Singular Point?
I think so. It essentially, I sort of just.
I feel that Ed liked it. By the way, he's
Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
No. Can we? There's a dynamic here. My son, who is 7, loved it, and because he loved it, I was perfectly happy to watch it. No, would I voluntarily watch it again? Oh Christ, no. But if you have a 7-year-old who's suddenly fascinated with the entire Godzilla mythos, what have you got to lose? It's either that or watching something even worse.
You need to get him a copy
Universe.
You need to get him a copy of Mecha Godzilla. That's the Godzilla movie for kids.
He is obsessed with Mecha Godzilla.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean,
I'm adopting your son, Ed.
At this point,
Take him.
You are welcome to it. But no, he as I say, it wasn't vintage television, but I had an enjoyable Sunday afternoon plowing through hours of things hitting other things really hard. And if you're 7, that's all you possibly want, isn't it? I'm another year. And we'll do the glorious awfulness of the first Pacific Rim because you'll be ready for it.
That's a great film.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful. Don't know. It's a beautiful.
Outrageous.
It's a beautiful film, and I admire it. But it is. Let's face it. It is functionally awful.
Nope, it's amazing.
Great film. What are you talking about? The sequel would fall into that category, but not Pacific Rim.
yeah. I like the first one.
Today we end the apocalypse. Postpone the apocalypse. That's right.
Cancelling the apocalypse.
Cancel it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well done. That's
I need to rewatch that one.
Well, I'm going to be quick because I agree with you, Ed. My one for July was Clarkson's Farm as well. Great TV. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Caleb is the star, and the way that he talks to Clarkson is really entertaining. So it's no airs and graces. It's great fun, and that's it for me. But there is a new Grand Tour tomorrow.
There is on Friday.
Sorry, Friday.
Yeah,
on the 30th. So be interesting to see if that sinks or swims. But it's American cars in the Highlands. And it's terrible American cars.
Yeah, not good American cars.
No. So that should be entertaining. If
not crypto designed with an understanding of Europe American car like Phil's, a gigantic wobbly bastard.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that. Tom, what have you been watching that you recommend?
Loki finished this month.
It did. That was cool.
I named that as the most consistent MCU TV show. Not necessarily. For me, I would say the highs of WandaVision were higher than Loki. The bits that I loved in WandaVision, I loved more than Loki. But across its 6-episode run, it was consistently entertaining. And I thought it was all the things where they'd maybe gone a bit too far too quick with WandaVision and they'd held back a little bit too much with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki seemed to get it right. This this is how they should continue to make their TV shows. And they are. Like, it's the first one that has automatically been granted like its second season. So yeah, really, really good show, really consistent show, really fun. Especially, I think it was episode 5, which I won't give away if you've not seen it, but the cast of episode 5
Yes,
is
I have to say,
unbelievable. Just unbelievable. So if you've not watched it, really recommend that.
I have to say I enjoyed Owen Wilson sort of being Owen Wilson.
Yeah, he was
a
great.
period of not being Owen Wilson.
Disappointed we didn't get to see him on a jet ski, but other than that,
I don't know. I would imagine you'd wait until season 3.
Season
before
2.
you-
There
was
was-
there a season 3?
Yeah, there was a superb interview with Owen Wilson that came out just a few weeks ago where he admitted to actually hating jet skis, which was it was a really good
But,
read. I can't remember who it was. I think it was with IndieWire.
he's sufficiently good an actor that he conveys a love. of
In my
skis.
mind, the scene was always going to be in front of a really obvious, rear projection and a really fake-looking scene with a jet ski. That's how it should be done, in my opinion. It shouldn't be done properly on actual water. No, what they got to do, fake, buckets of water and a rear projection.
Well, I've got a native 4K Sony that I need to finish the read for, so I'm going to sit and watch Loki on that.
Perfect.
I think
You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
It looks good. It looks. I mean, the money's on screen.
I mean, I have to say, in some ways, I enjoyed the first episode the most because it's just pure Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, it's pure
It really
Gilliam.
is.
Just
It
gorgeous,
really is.
But
Yeah.
you
With a
know,
little
no-
bit of Jurassic Park mixed in.
Yeah,
weirdly.
yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed. Of those Marvel TV series, it's the one I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I think lots of people
and-
are saying that.
No, I thought it was good. But obviously we left it for you, Tom, to talk about because we talked about tractors. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I also do really, really quickly just want to highlight the fact that the review for Masters of the Universe Revelation went up today, and boy, oh boy, is it kicking up a stink, which is great.
I love Kevin Smith, but my God, he's getting a shoeing.
He really is. He really is. And do you know
He
what?
kind of has only got himself to blame.
I
to a
was
certain
not-
extent.
I was not involved in I was not aware of any of the publicity surrounding it. I just went into this blind, and going into it blind, I was like, I was expecting for it to be like a soulless cash in, and it totally isn't. It's got new ideas and
My
new stuff.
Only complaint is I really don't like the way that they've the personality of Tila.
Oh,
She
okay.
comes across as very she's just unnecessarily angry all the time.
I mean, it's Buffy
and
again.
entitled.
Yeah.
And she's voiced by Buffy.
Yeah, it is. And her character is just Buffy again. But yeah,
But
So-
what they did with Orko was fantastic.
agreed.
Most people just love the
Loads of stuff.
character.
And
Uh,
everything to do with Evil Lynn was
Was good.
Brilliant.
And Lena
Really-
Headey on
Yeah.
on doing
Oh
the
my
voice.
God, you just reminded me, Tom, that the time is well overdue for an incredibly gritty Mask reboot. Preferably live action.
I raised that in the forum discussion thread because among the He-Man toys that my mum threw out when I turned 18, she also threw out all my Mask toys, Transformers, Thundercats. These are the gritty all-female reboots that I want. Okay, bring these to me.
A friend of mine, he had from the film, not the TV series, the Mask movie, a purple bulldog, which was actually a production error, which at the time we didn't know. His dad drove over it, and if you now look at what they go for, it's like, oh, that was an expensive mistake.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's
we,
it for
we,
me.
okay, we need to wrap up. So, Steve, you get the last throw.
Yeah, so what I've been watching on Now TV, I'm still thoroughly enjoying Prodigal Son, which is obviously watching after we finish this. They just added Catherine Zeta-Jones to the cast, so you got 2 Welsh people playing Americans now, plus an English guy playing an American, and then they also added right at the end of the episode last week, Alan Cumming is joining the show as a Scottish detective, or is he an English detective? I think he's doing an English accent. Yeah, it's absolute cobblers, but it's very enjoyable, and Michael Sheen's having an absolute field day in it, and I would love to have seen him and Catherine Jones off camera, just going full Welsh. There's also I keep saying it every week, but Apple TV Plus is killing it. Unlike Amazon and Netflix, where it's mostly shit, there isn't that much on Apple TV Plus, but all of it's good.
Oh, God.
And
All killer, no filler.
Physical is a great series if you haven't had a chance to see it, with Rose Byrne, which is really good. Set in the 80s and about fitness videos. But trust me, it's a lot funnier and better than it sounds. I'm not selling it though very well. Obviously, Ted Lasso's back. I love that.
And Foundation starts next month as well.
And they got Foundation coming, which will butter me up nicely for Dune. Then on on Disney TV, Disney Plus, I'm enjoying Monsters at Work, which I don't want to seem to be talking about, but it's again it drops on a Wednesday, so that's actually quite fun and entertaining, and with all the cast, all the voice actors from the Monsters Inc. movies back, so that's worth checking out if you're a fan of Monsters Inc. And I still enjoy the Bad Batch, but I've got to say it hasn't reached the heights of Clone Wars, and I feel it might get cancelled because it just isn't really delivering enough. I think
had a really lovely Rebels crossover. Was it last
Yes,
week?
no, it's had a couple of episodes where it's delivered the goods. The first episode was really good. I thought it started strong. The stuff with Hera was good, because it kind of filled in some of her backstory. But they really need to nail the landing. The next 2 episodes are going to be really strong. And obviously, it's not a TV series, but don't forget on Friday, if you'd like me and can't be asked to go to the cinema, and you've got one at home anyway, it's Jungle Cruise with The Rock. So
I should be reviewing that, so keep an eye out.
20 quid that Disney will be getting off me yet again.
Tom, have you selected that because you think it's going to be dreadful?
No, I've selected it because it's the last thing that I am likely to review before I go on holiday. We will see. Oh wait, no.
It also might be dreadful.
Be one of them. Yeah, it might be.
But then again, everyone thought Pirates of the Caribbean sounded like a bad idea.
And 4 out of 5
eventually became one.
Just before we finish, the only Simon said, I want Thundercats the musical. And you know what? It can't be any worse than Cats the musical, so I'm all for it. Yeah.
Well, keep your eye out, because Adam Wingard, responsible for Godzilla vs. Kong, has said that is his next project.
What, Thundercats the musical?
Not the musical, but Thundercats the gritty reboot. So keep your eye out for that.
As long as there's a butthole cut.
And on that
like
bombshell,
bombshell.
Thanks for that.
We just need to do the podcast competition. So on you go, Tom.
Okay, so let me just find it. I'm really, really well prepared here. It is to win a copy of David Attenborough's Life in Color on Blu-ray. So just go to the competition page and use the following question to select the correct answer. What is David's surname?
I dare say there may be 1 or 2 people that may have already successfully.
I think Kaz might be a bit tired.
David's brother.
I seem to remember things like this on ITV. You know, when they used to do all the phone.
Yeah, but they would charge you
They were getting money every time they went into the competition.
Yeah,
we should start doing that.
We've done it the wrong way around here.
Yeah,
we need to have a planning meeting on this one. I think.
But anyway, if you want to win that on Blu-ray, that's the question that you need the answer to. So off you go and find that. And if you have enjoyed tonight's podcast, then please do hit the like button. It is important for us to find new people to bring them into our AV cult. So please hit that like button if you're still here, or if you're listening a little bit later in the week, please do that as well if you're watching on YouTube. And that's it this week. My thanks to Ed Selly.
Aloha. Sorry about your brain.
Steve Withers.
Aquariums make me super horny.
And Tom Davis.
Quit busting my coconuts for 5 minutes.
Like I say, if you enjoyed the podcast, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can also hit the notification bell, and it'll tell you when we publish more videos. And there's lots of videos being lined up to come along. Got some settings videos, a Hisense video, Sony video, loads of stuff coming. So keep your eyes peeled for that. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. You can bookmark avforums.com for latest reviews, news, and video. And of course, leave us a 5-star rating if you listen to us on a podcast provider that allows you to leave a 5-star rating. Then leave us 5 stars. If it's 10 stars, then you can
all the stars. Just wind it up to 11.
Stars. Yeah. I'm Phil Hinton. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget, it's the Movies Podcast next week.